Okay, so I think I'm live, guys. Um, if you're just finding me, my name's Becky, and I dropship on eBay UK. And we're just doing a live hangout today so that I can answer any questions people might have. So I'll just wait a few minutes for people to join. And as you join, if you just put any questions you have or say hi in the chat. Oh, there's a few people. Hi guys, thanks for coming. I was a little bit worried no one would show up. Let me know if you can hear me. No, I don't know if people can hear me. Let's just check. Can you guys hear me okay? I don't know if I'm looking in the right chat. Let's have a look. Sorry guys if you're there. I can't see any comments. I might be looking in the wrong place. This is the first time I've done this, so bear with me. Let's have a look. Oh, okay, I can see you guys now. Sorry, I couldn't see your comments here. Yes, Chair, I'm in the TARDIS. I'm in a co-working space called Selena in Medellin. And they have these little phone booth type things, literally like a TARDIS. So I'm in there. Let's see, let me scroll up. Okay, hello. Everyone can hear me? Great. Okay, any questions, guys? I can't see any yet. I'll keep refreshing. You guys, thanks guys for coming along. Everyone's just like here to hang out. Does anyone have any dropshipping questions? Or we could just hang out. I don't care. Ace Crizzy says, why did I start with 5 listings? So I've heard this a lot recently of people having, so normally when you start an eBay account, your listings limit is 10 items, but recently I've heard more and more people being started off at 5, which is tough because you obviously want to grow your account. What I would suggest you do is call eBay straight away as soon as you get your account. and ask if there's any way that you can increase your limit. Just tell them you have more than 10 things that you want to list, and you want to get started. So yeah, it may be a new thing where they're starting people on an even lower limit as standard, but yeah, I've seen quite a few people start with 5. Are you recording in a phone booth? Kind of. It's not a real phone booth. It is. So Selena is like a hostel and a co-working space, which they have them all around kind of Central and Latin America. And I'm staying in a hotel, but I came here to use the co-working space. And it's really nice. They have these little, I won't move the camera because I'll mess this up, but they have like phone booths. So if you want to have a private meeting or like a Skype call or something like this, you can sit in the little booth. So I'm in one of those. That's why it looks like I'm in a phone booth. Do you use, I think that means, do you use title building? So when I first started, I used title-builder.com, which is the tool that can tell you keywords to put in your titles for your eBay listings titles. I used that when I first started because it's good to help you get an idea of what you should be putting in your titles. But once you get used to it, you can start doing it just off the top of your head, and you don't need to use Title Builder as much. So now I don't use Title Builder at all. I started using it again when I started listing in the US, just because I wanted to start from scratch. And obviously the keywords might be different in the US, but even for the US now, I just need to remember to spell things the American way, and I don't need the Title Builder. Autumn West, good afternoon. Well, it's evening here. Oh, it's nighttime in the UK, isn't it? Would you put your title into the description also? I don't put my title in the description. What I like to do though is I put the title from the source in the description. So whatever your supplier, so say you listed something from Tesco's, whatever they have the name of the product as their title, I put that in my description. And I like to do that because when you go to process the order, that's a quick way to find the item, because you can just copy and paste from your description into Google and it will pop up the source that you listed it from if for some reason you've forgotten or you can't find it. What is next? Will your course help with the optimization side of snoptimization? Yes, so for those of you who don't know, snoptimization, I didn't come up with the technique. I'm sure people did it before me, but I will say, I'm going to put it out there and say I came up with the word. It's sniping and optimization. So sniping is when you find other dropshippers on eBay and you just copy their listings that are selling well. You just copy it completely and undercut the price. Optimization is when you do your own titles, you don't copy anyone else. So snoptimization is when you find other dropshippers, find what they're selling, take the item but create your own title. So that's snoptimization. So my course helps with the optimization side of it only. I don't do anything to do with sniping, and that's for 2 reasons. Firstly, I don't snipe, so I wouldn't teach people how to do something that I don't use to make money. And secondly, it is a technique you can use, but I don't want people to get confused. And for a course, I think it needs to be like, this is a method you can use, and I didn't want my course to be, you can use this method or that method or this method. I just wanted it to be quite clear, so I just do optimization. So yes, it will help you with the optimization side of snoptimization. What is next? Oh, loads of questions now. Jose said, how to deal with 5.4% fee for Peru. It is really huge, can't compete with prices, only optimization, give me some motivation. So don't compete on price. I don't compete on price. Some of you know, recently started dropshipping in the US, and I'm from the UK, so I'm an international dropshipper. And that means that my PayPal fees are slightly higher, not as high as 5.4, that's pretty high. But I can't compete on price because people in the US can get lower fees. They can also get cash back, which I can't get, and they can also get discounted gift cards, which I can't get. So I'm not competing on price. So I would suggest that you do the same. Don't compete on price. If I would optimize, and I would find items at the source rather than finding them from other dropshippers, because if other dropshippers have them, you're competing then with them and you're in that little bubble. Where I've been finding things from Kmart directly, I don't look at any competition. I've actually managed to list quite a few items on eBay that nobody else has listed because I'm not looking at the competition. I'm just kind of doing my own thing. So I would recommend you try that out. Who's next? Chris would really like more information on how to build titles. This is one thing I really struggle with. So I have a playlist on my channel where I go through like the whole process of finding items, which items I picked, and doing the title. So you can start there in terms of how to put a title together. I'll try and do more videos coming up, just showing you examples of like how I do it. But it's difficult to explain in a quick like Q&A. However, I will say key things are put words that people would actually search for if they were looking for that item rather than describing the item. Sometimes you will be describing the item, but don't describe it if you're describing things that somebody would not type into eBay's search box, because that's the only thing you want to rank for. So hopefully that helps. Ace said, I bought the basic store today, but I still only have 5 listings available. Do you know why? So I made a video about this yesterday. If you check on my channel afterwards, I'll just quickly explain now though. I made a video because a lot of people are confused about this. There's no link between having a store and your listings limit. And I said this in the video yesterday. There's no point subscribing for a store if your listings limit is low. The only purpose of a store is to save on insertion fees. It doesn't give you more listings. The only way to get more listings is to earn trust with eBay and for them to increase it month by month. So don't subscribe to a store thinking you'll suddenly be able to list that amount, because it actually says, if you read the store subscriptions, the account limits apply, which means you have 253 listings, but your account limit is 5, so you can still only list 5. So what I would suggest you do is, if you only pay monthly, just cancel it so you're not paying again next month, and wait until you're listing around 100 items to subscribe to a basic store. Thailand Herald said, are you building your UK and US stores at the moment? So it's one store that I'm with UK and US listings in it. And yes, I'm building them, yes. Like adding more listings, if that's what you mean. But having said that, I'm focusing this month anyway, I'm focusing a lot more on my US. So I'll do listings for UK and US, but I will focus more on US because that's new and I'm trying to build that. Yeah, as in buying a store doesn't help your limits, just like eBay. And I know of people, eBay says you can only call once every 30 days, but I know of people who just ring and keep ringing back, and you'll speak to a different agent each time, and sometimes they will let you off and just give it to you earlier, so you could try that. What do you think merchant words? I don't know what merchant words are, sorry. When looking for products, Frederick19 asked, when looking for products, do you just select products at random from a website, or do you look for products that you know are already selling? So my main strategy is to select products from the website, and I wouldn't say, yes, they're random, but what I'm looking for is good value for money. So items that seem cheap for what they are, so I can add 40% to them, and that would still be a reasonable price. So not something that has a standard market value. So I wouldn't list a new iPhone because everyone knows how much an iPhone should cost. So adding 40%, you're not going to be able to compete. Whereas if it's like the garden table and chair set, there's no set price. It's not like everyone knows that they're £50. They could be varying prices. So I look for items like that. Yeah, Ace, you said you called eBay and they said they couldn't do anything. You can call back. You can wait maybe a week. But I know personally, I watched somebody call, hang up, call back, hang up, call back until somebody said yes. So it is possible. SC, thank you, dear Sheeny. With Becky's help, will make me quit 9 to 5. Nice. How long did it take you to get better with your titles? Also, did your sales go up each month? So I get better and better with my titles even now. I'd say it's probably one of my skills. So I wasn't ever like terrible at it, but what I did in the first, it's not how long, it's how many sales. So once you start to get sales, you can look at those titles and be like, oh, that sells, or these words help, or these types of words help. So within like a month, I started to like see what worked, because I was getting almost daily sales quite early on. Does Peter Suwon asked, does image optimization work, or is it just another waste of time? So I don't optimize my images at all. And what he means is some people rename the images, so they'll save it and they'll save it as and name it. In the name of it, they'll put keywords. I don't do that. I did it when I first started because that's what Damon Boo teaches. That's the course I took initially. And then I stopped doing it and I didn't see any drop in sales. My store continued to grow and my sales continued to grow. So there may be a benefit to it, but I personally have been able to grow my business without optimizing images. So I would say it is a waste of time. You're much better off spending that time just listing more items, in my opinion anyway. Do you know any suppliers that don't send invoices? So yes, I'll just go through a few. So if you order something from Tesco's direct, meaning fulfilled by Tesco's, they don't send an invoice in the box. However, the box says Tesco on it. It has like tape on it and it says Tesco. Argos, again, don't send a physical receipt. They send an email receipt to you. But again, it will come in, depending on the size of it, it will come in like the packaging that says Argos. So they'll know it's from Argos if they notice. Who else? Amazon don't send invoices. You don't need to click gift receipt. They just don't send them. And Vita Excel also don't send physical receipts. So that's a few for you. However, I know that some people will just want to work with those suppliers, but two things about suppliers that do send receipts. First of all, it's really not as big of an issue as you think it's going to be. One of my best-selling items is from a supplier that does send the receipt, and I know for a fact that every single customer has received a receipt. And I've sold probably close to 100 of this, and maybe 3 people have complained about it. And of those 3 people, none of them left negative feedback, and none of them asked for a refund. So it's not a problem. And I was going to say 2 things. The second thing about suppliers that send receipts is that if you are willing to be brave enough to use them, you're automatically more competitive because a lot of other dropshippers won't use them. So you could sell more. Okay. Ego Shredder, hello. I know you comment on all the videos. How much of a boost to your listings rankings does having a store have compared to not having one? That's very hard for me to say. Honestly, I don't think it has a huge amount. I think it's hard to tell because the number of listings you have would have a bigger effect. But obviously, once you get to a certain number of listings, you'll want to get a store because it's cheaper. So I haven't done both to split test it, but because you'll get a store as your listings grow, there's no way to know whether it's the store that's helped or whether it's the amount of listings going up that's helped. But I would say it's probably the amount of listings going up has more of an impact than subscribing to a store. Chadley says, thank you, you're an inspiration for your inspirational videos. Oh, thank you. I won't read it out because people will just think I'm like reading compliments to myself. Thank you, Chadley. What are your criteria for selecting items to list? Good value for money. And there's sometimes when I list things that I think won't sell and they sell. I try to keep it as random as possible because I have such large account limits. But I look for things that are mostly within like homeware, gardenware, that sort of stuff. And things that once you have experience, you'll know whether you can optimize something. So if I saw a laptop, I would have no idea how to optimize a laptop other than the name and make of the laptop. What would I put in the title that people would search for? I don't know. Whereas if I see something, oh, you guys can't see anything that I can see. So like behind me here, there's a water cooler. Looking at that, I know I would put office, drinking water cooler, dispenser, like those keywords that come into my head. So if I saw that, I know I could list it because I've already got some keywords. And that's without me seeing any words written down, just looking at a water cooler. So I'd pick that kind of thing. Sharon Anderson. That's hi, mum. I use Title Builder and I've noticed better sales. Okay, so some people would want to use Title Builder. My mum says you want to use it. Gaston says, I personally don't look at competition. I just optimize the best I can. Yep, same. Travis says, how do you avoid losing money listing items that don't sell and then getting charged insertion fees? So the amount I make profit outweighs the amount I pay in insertion fees, and it should. If your listings are going up and up and up, your insertion fees are going up and up and up, and your profit isn't, I think you should take a minute, scale back, and work on the amount of listings that you have now. Work on getting your strategy right, work on getting your titles right before you scale massively, because then you will end up with high insertion fees and not enough sales to cover it. For me personally, my sales and my profits were always going up with my listings amount, so I won't lose money. You will, like, for the actual listings, I'll have listings that will cost me 6 pence for the month to list, and I didn't make any money off of them, that particular item, but overall I'm still making money. So it's just a business cost, really. Charlie, I live in South Africa and would really like to start dropshipping internationally, either UK or US or both. I have many questions. Was hoping you'll be able to assist. Can I start dropshipping internationally? If so, how do I start? Do I require an international bank account? So this is the sort of question that I cannot really give you much detail on, for the simple fact that I have never had to dropship internationally. I'm from the UK and I dropship in the UK. One thing I can tell you, that if you are from South Africa or outside of definitely the EU, possibly even outside of the UK, I would not recommend that you start dropshipping in the UK first of all, because you need to become VAT registered straight away if you are not a UK seller. And that is just an extra level of complication for a business that you haven't quite started yet. So I'd recommend you start in the US. I know of people who dropship in the US. As long as you can get a PayPal, you don't need a US bank account. You could start dropshipping in the US. Is there an eBay South Africa? Because if there is, you may be able to open an account there and then use that account to start listing in the US. But in terms of bank accounts and all that stuff, I don't have experience in that. Nav said, do you add or think that adding the plural of a keyword covers singular of the word, for example, birds and bird? So I wouldn't put bird and birds, but I would put something like seat and seating. If it's like a similar word, but I wouldn't put like just an S on the end, really, because I think it would rank even with just the one. But if you've got extra space, you can throw it in there. But if there's a completely separate word you could put in, that would be better use of your type space. So I'd do that. Oh, merchant, and said merchant words versus title building, which is better. I've never used merchant words, so I don't know, but if anyone's used both, you should use both and then see which one you prefer. But like I said, I don't use title builder anymore anyway. Yes, hit the like button. I always forget to say this in my videos. I can't see how many likes there are because I'm on the screen, but hit the like button if you're here. Gaston says everything sells on eBay. Just optimize with good keywords and get more interested customers looking at your selling items, and you'll get sales. Yeah, I think most things can sell on eBay. It is a keyword game. Yeah, smash the like button, Autumn. Jamie says, I really struggle to find products in the UK. Any tips? So, as I said before, you're looking for good value. Sorry, I'm going to have a drink because my throat is dry. Yeah, you're looking for good value. That's the main thing, and things that you know you could optimize. If you really are struggling, then you could try the sniping technique. It's not something I do because I don't struggle to find items. But if you check out Mark's channel, No BS Dropshipping, he has a free 1 hour training on how to find items for eBay. Thomas said, do you use automatic ordering software? No, I order manually. Oh, Ian said, can barely hear you. Oh no, is the sound bad? Sorry guys, if I'm talking too fast. Let me scroll down. I'll talk slower, I'm really sorry. It's my London fastness. Thailand said, would you say sell a Tesco's own brand item or any store own brand item? So it depends on the store. Tesco's own brand I would and have sold before. It depends. There are some brands that only sell their own items. So like Wilko, I used to use them, I don't use them anymore. All of their things are own brand. Most of their things are own brand. The issue with own brand items is that if it's out of stock, you have no chance of finding it anywhere else. Whereas if you're selling a non-own brand item and it's out of stock on Tesco's, then you might find it on Amazon or somewhere else. So there are advantages to selling non-own brand. Okay, people are saying slower. If there's anything I said that you guys missed, ask again and I'll reiterate whatever I said in, I'll summarize it. And sorry, my voice is going again. James said, recently the majority of Asda George orders, majority of my Asda George orders, the customer has noticed the receipt and asked for refunds, really. But maybe to do with the kind of item as well, because I don't use Asda as much anymore because I was tracking the stock manually, and as my store grew, it was just too hard to keep tracking them manually. And the way I was doing that is I was adding them to my favorites in Asda. You can only add 50 per account, so I just had multiple accounts, and then I would just go in at the beginning of the day, and it would show up in red if it was out of stock. So that's how I did it with a smaller account, but I don't use them too much anymore. If you're finding loads of issues, you could try listing non-George products, so not Asda own brand, or don't use Asda if you're really finding it to be an issue. Ian said, for me, it's not the speed. Oh, it sounds like static. Oh, the sound isn't good. Sorry, guys. How many hours a day are you on the phone dealing with customer service? My guess is 5 or 6 hours. I spend 0 hours on the phone dealing with customer service. I never call anyone. I don't work with any suppliers that require me to phone them because I don't have the time or patience to be on the phone. I only work with suppliers that do live chat, or email. So I don't spend any time on the phone. Even with eBay in the UK, it's all live chat or message. You don't have to call them. So 0 hours a day. Definitely not 5 or 6. That would be horrendous, and I wouldn't have time to run my business. Martin says, Do you also use also your own categories or only eBay categories? Only eBay categories. To use your, do you mean like store categories or the ones you pay for? If you mean the one you pay for, no. And even if you mean store categories, no. I only use the one that's required by eBay. Ian said, yeah, right, doubtful. I don't know what that's in response to. At what level would you start using SKU Grid? Because Hydra because checking prices, even 50 items manually is hard. Yes, as soon as possible. I stopped using SKU Grid and Hydra and I switched to a software called Hustle Got Real. I'm going to be doing a review about them. The link is in the description if you want to check them out. But if you're starting, you get 30 items for free. So for you, if you had 50 items listed, you could have your 30 in there, and then you'd only have to check 20 a day until you get to the point where you're ready to subscribe or pay for the next level up, which will allow you more. So I'd suggest that. But you really want to have tracking as soon as possible. Yeah, I said vodka, Becky. I can't drink anymore. I think my last few weeks in Nicaragua, I drank enough for the rest of the year. Someone said snipe and report, that's my tactic. I don't understand. How many months have you been dropshipping for? 10 months now, basically. I started in May 2017. Autumn said, watch Bureau items on brands. Yes, definitely. Vodka, wine, or beer? Oh, that's hard. Depends on the situation. So nowadays I just drink beer because I'm traveling and the beer is the best. Like you don't want bad vodka or bad wine. So beer is pretty like stable everywhere in the world. But when I was in London, it would be wine, and when I was in university, it would be vodka. Is it best to go for obscure but relevant keywords to catch unique search terms and separate yourself from other titles? Yes, 100%. As long as it's relevant, as you said, if it's something that most people wouldn't think of, although you might think, oh, then most people wouldn't search it, those few people who do search it, you will rank for those people and no one else will. How do you deal with eBay return like Walmart? So I don't use Walmart, I use Kmart, but it'll be the same. You just contact the source, get a returns label from them, send the returns label to your eBay customer, and they ship the item back to your source. Your source will refund you, and you will refund your buyer. How do you keep up with the bookkeeping when you get over 100 sales? So I started with just Excel, and now I use Intuit. What's it called? It's a software. It's a bookkeeping one. I can't think what it's called. I keep going to say CyberGhost, but that's my VPN. I think Intuit is like the. No, it's not. What's it called? I'll put a link to it afterwards if I find it. I just have it on my tab, but I don't know. I don't have it on this laptop. I use a software. If you Google bookkeeping software, it will come up. It's like the biggest one in the UK, but the name is escaping me. Sam, just got here. Are you in a library? So I'm in a co-working space called Selena in Medellin. They have a few. They have some in Mexico, Nicaragua. They're really, really nice. It's also like a hotel / hostel. I'm not staying here, but I came to use the co-working space, and they have like these little phone booths if you need to have a private meeting or a video. So that is what I'm doing. There's people outside working, so I didn't want to disturb them. Ian, are you still in Nicaragua? No, I'm in Colombia, Medellin. Joe says Mark's fault. I can't remember. By the time you guys respond, I can't remember what you're talking about. Sorry. Vodka, wine, or beer? Tea. I'm English. That's true. I just thought you meant for party mode. Daytime tea, obviously. I'm running out of tea bags again. Where is Mark? He should be here. Mark is. Oh yeah, he's not. I told him I was going live. See, this is why I left. Doesn't even care about my live. I troll him on his lives. He doesn't troll me. Mike said I have switched from sniping to hunting through suppliers. Hunting through suppliers list to find something that has good profit margins. I feel comfortable doing that. Any further suggestions? What do you mean by hunting through suppliers lists? I'm not sure. The strategy I would recommend is the optimization, finding things at the source. That's the one I use, so it's the one I would suggest, or SNOP optimization, if you will. CSM tool opinion. Not enough UK sources. The only UK source they support is Amazon, so not enough. How much does it cost to live in Nicaragua or Colombia? Really depends on your lifestyle. It can be very cheap. I will say it's nowhere near as cheap as Southeast Asia. I spoiled myself by going to Southeast Asia first. I was there for 6 months, and what you can get for your money in, say, Thailand is a lot more than what you can get here. However, here is still cheaper. So I'm moving into my own apartment, and for a 1-bedroom apartment in a nice area of Medellin, it's like £500 a month, which is really cheap compared to what it would be in London, definitely. But in compared to what it would be in Thailand, it's like double. So you could get a nice apartment for £250 in Thailand. Definitely the same kind of standard, like a Western style apartment. QuickBooks, that is the name of the thing I couldn't think of. It is QuickBooks. So I use QuickBooks for my accounting. That would not come to me. David said, do you list a mixture of price ranges, or do you focus on higher ticket? No, all of my, I would say all, the majority of my items are under £200 after the markup. And that started because when I first started, I had a partial, like a kind of PayPal hold on my account, which meant that anything I sold over £150 would be held. So I started just listing things under £150. And then when that was lifted, I stuck to it. I don't know, I feel a little bit nervous about listing very high priced things. I like the fact that if something did go wrong, like maybe with a GSP order or the supplier being funny about a return, I like the fact that I am able to take a loss if needs be and tell the customer to keep the item and still be overall profitable. Whereas if you're selling items for £500, £1,000, you really can't do that. So I like to keep the risk low. Is there a software to identify which item is bought from which supplier? I'm asking for returns purposes because I have a lot of sales and it is very difficult to know where I bought it. I keep track of my sales, and when I write the sale down, I write where I bought it. So I would highly suggest that you do that. I put the name of the item, the price, the source, how much I sold it for, and the order number. So most suppliers will have an order number. I'll put that so that I can know very easily which order it was and where I bought it from. So yeah. I don't know if there is a software that does that. None of the ones I've used do that. Yeah, hustle got real. If you're in the UK, definitely. They do US sources as well, but most of the softwares out there have had the UK as an afterthought, and you can tell because they don't have many sources. They start with the US and then they add on a little bit for the UK, whereas Hustle Got Real is the first one I've seen where the UK was first. Ian said, I've heard it's pretty dangerous in Colombia. No, some parts are, but not Medellin. Medellin is safe. The area I'm in anyway, it's very safe. So as safe as like London or anywhere else. It's not nothing to worry about. Sam says 585 a month for me in London for a 4x2 meter room in a shared house. Yes, it's crazy. And even when I was in Nicaragua, the house that we all lived in, Mark's office, was a five bedroom, 6 bathroom house with a pool and a hot tub. And it was $1,500 a month, like insanely cheap. You'd get a room for that in like that's like £1,200, like insane. How's your Spanish? Estoy aprendiendo español, pero no bueno. I'm learning, but it's not very good. What is the returns process for very large items? So I don't list very large items for this reason. However, that would involve you then probably having to call, make sure the person's going to be home, have it collected by the source. You'd have to call them and say, work out with your buyer when they're going to be home. Because if it's something really large, like a sofa or a fridge or something like that, they have to send 2 people. So it's like a 2-man delivery, and the source will collect it because obviously you can't post it back. So you need to make a phone call or be the middleman and organize that. Kashid said, do you get your VA, I think he means, to pick products you sell? I don't have a VA yet. I'm in the process of hiring, and no, I will not let them pick the products I sell. I will always pick the products that I sell because that's my skill. So I'm not going to outsource that. I'll outsource things that anyone could do as well as I do. Elion said, do you extract sales via CSV file, or do you manually file an Excel sheet? I manually do an Excel sheet, which probably sounds like the slow way to do it, now that you say that. I'm so used to working with Excel and like keyboard shortcuts. It's a massive part of what I used to do for a living. I'm very, very quick at it, and Excel does not faze me in any way. I feel very comfortable with Excel, so I could just download a CSV. Yes. David said, when using Kmart, do you pay sales tax when checking out with PayPal? Yes, you pay sales tax, and the amount of the percentage is based on the state that the customer lives in. So once you put the state that their address in, it will calculate the sales tax for their address. But with a 40% markup, you're still making a profit. And Kmart does loads of discounts as well. So yes, I pay sales tax. I'm not exempt. You can't be exempt if you're not if you don't have a US business. So maybe I'll look into it in the future if I am growing it a lot. Someone said, apparently a fraud team from the range is investigating my account due to suspicion of reselling. I only had 10 orders, and then they cancelled 6 of them. Should I be worried? I wouldn't be worried, but I would just stop working with that source. Like this, there will always be people who continue to work with the source undetected, and for some reason, some sources don't like people to use them. It's not fraud. You are not pretending to be someone you're not. You're not using anyone else's bank details. I'm assuming you're not. It's not fraud. You're not committing fraud. You're just ordering something and having it sent somewhere else. There's nothing illegal about it. But if they don't want you to do that, then don't use them. Work with someone else. I really don't understand why sources don't want this extra money. It's ridiculous. And someone else said they got banned from the range. I've never used the range. Apparently, no one should leave them. And from what I know, they're quite a small company. You would think they like the extra business. Yes, it is mainstream media that makes Colombia look bad. It's Narcos. If you've seen the Narcos on Netflix, it's nothing like that. I'm in Medellin, which is the city that Narcos is filmed in, and it's perfectly safe. No, it's nothing like the Netflix show. Someone said, haven't been paying taxes for a while now. I reckon I'll be fine. I don't know about that. Eres muy linda, gracias. Gracias. Do you have an email address where we can ask questions in the future? Best place to ask me questions is either in the comments of my YouTube video or on Facebook. I have a Facebook group, link in the description that you can join, and you can message me on there. Just when you message me, please just send the question. If you just put hi, I'm probably not going to respond because you wouldn't believe the amount of messages I get in a day that turn out to have nothing to do with dropshipping, just random people who wanted to have a chat. I don't have time for it. So don't put hi or hi, how are you? Just put your question and I'll get back to you. Autumn said DSM Talk keeps the resource for you. That's cool. But if you're in the UK using anyone but Amazon, then that's, yeah. I think they didn't like me selling to different addresses, but they don't like it, but it's not fraud. Just move on, use a different source. Yeah, there will be, you'll see sellers who do use these sources. They may be doing things like using different accounts, so they'll sign in with different emails, use different payment methods. There's ways to like go undetected. If you want to still use them, you can take those extra steps. Personally, I don't have to. I work with sources who haven't seen the fine that I'm using them. What do you do to prevent people from sniping you? Nothing. People snipe me. Keep listing. They'll never get as many sales off of your items as you do because you have the ranking for it and the boost for it. So don't worry about it and keep listing. But yeah, you can't. It's just a part of dropshipping. Agreed. Someone said, thank you for being super positive. Thank you. Thanks for watching. How much do you pay per month to live in Medellin? So I haven't been here a month, but my apartment, as I said, is about £500. That's expensive though. I could definitely get cheaper, but I'm in like the nice area. So yeah, I'm paid a little bit more, but it's still much cheaper than London. So yeah, if you wanted to like share a place, you could get like £200 a month in a nice area. But I want my own place just because I like to live alone. I've been living with people for my entire life. So when I'm in somewhere that is cheap enough for me to live alone, I do, because I can't afford that in London at the moment. And in Nicaragua, I was just living in the co-working house. So now that I'm in Medellin and I have an opportunity to just live by myself, of course I'm going to take it. So how much to live altogether? You can live here for like really like $1,000 a month, maybe like 1,500 if you want to like have nice things and go out and drink, but it's super cheap. $5,000? No, you can live on less than that in Medellin, definitely. I don't have any VAs yet. Someone asked if I allowed them to process my orders. I don't have any yet. I'm hiring. It's really hard to hire. I need to rethink how I'm doing it, but I will let them process my orders because that's a waste of my time. It doesn't require any like brain power. You just order. So any repetitive thing like that is what I'm going to get a VA to do for me. Someone said, I wish I could use the range. I mean, maybe try with a different email, a different payment method, but it's not worth it if they're going to cause you hassle. There's plenty of sources, plenty of items out there. We've got another 10 minutes, guys. We're going to try and move quickly. What is sniping? Sniping is finding other dropshippers on eBay, finding the items that they sell well regularly, copying the listing and undercutting their price to get some of their sales. Oh, and someone already answered in the comments. Thank you. How long did it take you to earn a livable income? So 1K a month in pounds, that took me like 4 or 5 months to get to that point. And so after that jumped quite dramatically. So then I went from 4 or 5 months to get to £1,000 a month, and then like on the 6th, 7th months it was 2,000, and then it went up from there. Yeah, I get confused because sometimes I'll say dollars. In Nicaragua, the currency, they use dollars, so I've been saying dollars for so long. But my biggest month was around $3,000 profit from eBay. And that was December, Christmas, obviously. Yes, living alone is better. You just socialize when I go out and then go home. How many listings you have and what are your expectations for this 2018? So I don't share my exact number of listings anymore just because it's easier for people to copy, snipe, find my store. I have a few thousand, and my expectations are to grow massively. Like I want to triple the size of my store and obviously triple my profits. I said in a previous video I want to have a 10K profit month from eBay during 2018, so that's one of my goals. Andrea says, what are your average margins on an item? So percentage wise, after cashback, 20%. Before cashback, depending on whether it's UK, US, whether I got it cheaper, the price went up, sometimes things happen, it'll be between 15 and 18% before cashback or a discounted gift card or anything like that. When do you prune? Pruning is when you get rid of listings that aren't selling, for anyone who doesn't know. And honestly, I don't do it as often as I should. I very rarely ever prune. The only reason I would prune, however, is if something is out of stock and not coming back. And with Hustle Got Real, you can set your settings so that if something's been out of stock for 30 or 60 or however many days in a row, it will automatically delist that item. So that's what I've done for now. But I'm not going to take something down just because it hasn't sold. A big part of that is because the way that insertion fees work in the UK is different to the US. So essentially having 5,000 listings costs the same as having 20,000 listings because of our store subscription. So there's no point in me taking things down. Someone said, how many listings did you personally have before you made your first sale? I think I had around 80 listings, less than 100. But those 80 listings were done in the space of a few days. So, yeah. Some people are saying that audio is really broken up. Sorry, I don't know what to do. Amazon Prime. So I had Amazon Prime. I very rarely use Amazon as a source. But yes, I do have it, and it's beneficial for sending things. But I don't use fast shipping. I don't use the 2-day delivery. I use standard delivery. Sam says it's like 25 to 30% before cashback. That's a really good margin. Someone said they live in Iceland but have a registered limited company in the UK. Would you be able to dropship you will be able to dropship in the UK. You just need to check with an accountant about VAT. I can't tell you about that. Are you ever planning on coming to the States? Possibly. I have some friends who are going to be there in Vegas and LA in March, actually, so I might go and see them. And then possibly New York. I've been to New York before. Oh, the audio is not great. Sorry, guys. Will eBay get mad if I boost my items by buying my own stuff so they go up in the rankings and give myself positive feedback on multiple accounts? Yeah, that's against eBay's rules, and I would not advise that you do that at all. It is possible for someone in the US to dropship in the UK, but you're better off dropshipping in the US. So if you're in the US, I'd do US. Recommended repricer is Hustle Got Real. Link is in the description. Cashback site, so I use Top Cashback and for most of my suppliers, and for Amazon, Tesco and Smith's Toys I use Kidstar. Links are in the description. Estimated profit for this month, I'm not sure exactly. It's going to be like a couple of £1,000 at least. I need to check. Yeah, February is quite quiet, so I expected it to be quiet, so it's not bad. What is the best way to track changing prices from suppliers without paid software? You'd have to manually check it. I don't know of any free software. Have you started testing paid promotions yet? I tested those sponsored listings a while back and I didn't get any sales off of it, so I stopped. But I will at some point test it a bit more. I'm going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes, guys. Andrea says, I'd rather make pounds than dollars. Yeah, pound, yes, it's a stronger currency, but you'll have the extra fees and you'll have them to register for VAT immediately, which will take away that benefit of it being pounds rather than dollars. If you allow VA to process your orders, wouldn't they steal from you? They could, but probably not. If you think about it, the best way to do it is if you give them a gift card, they can process the order with the gift card. They can't order something from the place that the gift card is for and have it sent to them because they don't even live in the UK. So you'd have to do training on it. I know people who have VAs. Not everybody is a thief, so no. So profit is before tax. Profit would always be before tax because you pay tax on your profit. So it's like if someone says how much money do you earn and you had a job and you said 30k salary, that's before tax. So when someone says how much money do I make, I say before income tax because that is how much I make, if that makes sense. The Hustle Got Real is a must. PG tips on its way, I wish. Do you have an LTD yet or still just a sole trader? Still a sole trader. I'm planning to get all that set up this summer when I'm possibly going to be home. I'm going to see my accountant and get some stuff set up. Okay, so I am going to wrap this up here, guys, because it has been an hour already. I'm sorry if there's been a lag or the Wi-Fi wasn't too great. This is like the best Wi-Fi in Medellin, so I'm not sure what I'll do if it's really bad. But thank you guys, and I will try and do these every Sunday. I'll try and do them a little bit earlier on a Sunday, unless this time is good for you guys. Let me know if this works, or if you'd rather have it a little bit earlier. Let me know. Any questions I didn't answer, I tried to do them all. Any questions I didn't answer, best thing is to leave them as a comment under this video, and I'll get back to you. Like usually, I go through my YouTube comments every day, so I'll do that. If anyone is interested in an eBay UK dropshipping course specifically for the UK, there's a link in the description to that. And other than that, I think that's everything. I will see you guys maybe in the telephone box again next Sunday. See ya.